Yeah, my name's Peter Skipworth.
I'm Darcy Skipworth, Peter's son.
On a family farm called Currebah, just on the beds of Lake Cargelligo in the centre of New South Wales.
Here at Currebah, which is about 3,000 hectares, trying to run a 50-50 system between the stock and the cropping side of things. We have nearly 200 cattle on the place and about 600-700 sheep. We've got merinos and crossbred ewes.
Our family's been here since sort of mid to late 20s. I'm the fourth generation at Lake Cargelligo, Darcy's the fifth, and I've been farming for just about 40 years. In my time here, we see the winters, I feel the winters are shortened up, and then if that winter doesn't persist and give us a reasonable spring, well then we sort of get a real short cut-off spring, which then makes the feed gap from September around to the break in the autumn. It's a long period to try and get through.
Well, our biggest limiting factor is probably rainfall. I was sort of here when the millennial drought started. We went right through to about 2007 and it flooded. And then after that, that's when we sort of started having these dry times, and then we'd have these really extreme wet years.
This last year we've just had 40 inches of rain, that's sort of a record.
Just broke a 140-year-old record.
And what that does as a knock-on impact is, we're going to have between 1,500 and 2,000 acres of our crop. We can't manage that for the next 12 months till the water dries away. Something's got to give if you can't use that country, so it's either stock, you've got to get rid of some stock, or you don't crop as much. And there's two big challenges. One's the climate and the other one's your cost. We've got to try and cut our input, cut that cost to try and make our margin better. On the risk side with climate and that, because it's getting more variable and risky, because it changes so quickly, we're trying to make ourselves more nimble so we can react to that.
Got a small rain event back during harvest which stopped the headers, and we decided to come and sow this, hoping that we'd get a little bit of extra summer feed for the stock. Just used a disc seeder that we brought a couple of years ago. It's just an old one, but we did it so that we could, on these small rain events, we had the option of being able to come in here and just sow anything, really. This is forage rape, forage sorghum, and this one down in front here is tillage radish, but they have a large taproot normally. It just helps to break the ground up. And then there is millet here, but I think the cows may have eaten most of the millet. So your stock play a vital role, I believe, in the rotation cropping and pasture, because they are turning the green matter into organic manure. It's pretty simple, really. You let them run around the paddock and eat, and they're giving you fertiliser in return. Rather than having to buy the inputs, we can graze our pastures, we get fertiliser, and we can sell the progeny and make a profit out of it. Since I left school, which was in 2015, I come back, I noticed straight away that there wasn't really any sort of pastures or any sort of grazing management, and neither with the crop and rotation side of thing. But as we've gone on, we're trying to implement that.
And I can see that there's a need for possibly some change, more holistic management.
We're trying to run a 4-year crop and rotation, so that I'll bring a paddock in for 4 years and we'll go canola and then a cereal, so either barley or wheat, and then go back to some sort of a pulse, like field peas or lupins, and then go back to a cereal again, a wheat or barley, and then undersow that with your lucerne, your clover, and then the following year you'll be out to pasture for 4 years and give that country a break.
The pastures won't be just walked away from. We'll probably be bulking them up every year with a mix of peas, oats and all that sort of thing. This is a cover crop to build country and feed sheep. So when we sowed the paddock, a lot of this was last year's oat stubble. We had self-sown oats here and it was about this high, and so we get the rolling effect from the press wheels on our disc seeder, and that rolled it all flat, which gives it a good cover to try and hold moisture to get these summer crops going. Fleabane,
everyone calls a weed, but a weed's only a plant that you don't want in your paddock. Whereas in a grazing phase like now, we tend to let it grow because it is there for a reason. It's doing a job. They've got a taproot that's helping break our soil open, and it is good ground cover. Keeps something there growing, stops the paddocks from blowing, and your organic matter stops blowing away. But just using the brassicas to give us that penetration in the ground, and the cattle like the brassicas as well, gives them that diversity of feed. And then just trying to use the millets and the soil mainly as they have more of a fibrous root. They'll try and get in just in that top sort of 10 to 15 centimetres and break that top layer up. But we're trying to better our soil health, and to do that we need to stimulate our microbes and get them more active. The microbes are what forms a lot of our nutrients in our soil. They're the ones that break down things and do the jobs to give us the N, P and K and all the other trace elements that are there as well. We just need help them little fellas in the soil help us give us some of the nutrients again.
We've gone away from using the normal pickles and inoculants, chemical inoculants for seed. So we've gone to a biostimulant, and this has got trace elements in it and N, P and K, and we just coat the seed with it, and then it dries in the truck and we put it into our seeder. When that seed shoots, all them trace elements and all that's right there on the seed, ready for him to use, and it also helps him get going early and helps to stimulate the microbes that are around there.
Over the old chemical pickles and that, we are getting a lot better emergence, a lot faster. We're probably nearly getting double the root growth, because especially out here where some season it just stops raining and cuts off. So we need them roots to get down deeper and chase those deep nutrients and moisture.
The reason I was happy to go down that track, we've been using these for 3 years now. We don't seem to be having a lot of disease issues or anything with our seedlings or anything. And we're really happy with it. We'll keep using them and try and look into some others or develop some others. We have found where we've stopped ploughing it and we've got more cover, it drains a bit better, and we can actually carry machinery on it quicker. So there's some of the reasons we're heading down that route. And I believe that's just from the practice change of cutting right back on the ploughing. You know, we haven't completely gone out of it, but we don't plough anything like we were 5 or 10 years ago. And we are trying to be a bit more targeted with our spray. We're not going in every 10 days spraying everything that grows. We will tend to leave stuff grow if we don't think it's going to be a problem. We might have to use a bit more chemical a bit later to control it, but we get a little bit more feed out of that paddock. It's just we're trying to balance the two things, which a grain grower will tell you can't do both, and then probably a straight out grazer will tell you can't do both. But that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it puts a big smile on your face because it is going the way you want it to go. You know, we're trying to keep more ground cover. We're trying to have the ground cover that's there as better feed for our stock. And to see that change, it's incredible.
What we've seen with the climate sort of changing and the cost structure, the headline there would be that we're looking to do the same thing for less. We're not trying to grow more for less, we're just trying to do the same thing for less. Because if we can do that, well then that's a really good start.
We're not so much setting out to be the first or show people this is how it's done, but if people can look across the fence as well and say, well, that's working, maybe I can do that, well, yeah, come and talk to us. We're happy to sit down and talk about what we're doing.
We're not scared to fail. That's not a problem, because I think,
it's the way you learn.
That's how we're going to learn. Like all of it, time will tell. And if we can run our country a softer way and still make that bottom line right, it's good for us, but it's also good for our country.